Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault.
And I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight, an armed Rideau Hall intruder is under arrest.
A lot of police cars, a lot of Mounties.
He's a member of the Canadian military. We'll tell you what else we know.
There's nothing anybody wanted to see that,
3 Quebec children die in a horrible Canada Day incident.
From getting your hair cut to getting out of town, this summer of 2020 is going to be very different.
And speaking of which, baseball's Blue Jays are flying home.
They should be made to quarantine.
Their field is under a dome, but what about their bubble? This is The National. A man came to Rideau Hall this morning armed with a gun, his presence announced with a violent crash.
The gates were battered open, his truck making it inside the grounds.
Police acted fast, securing the area as the bomb squad went to work. A short walk from residences of both the Governor General and the Prime Minister. So they are safe, the suspect in custody. Catherine Cullen has what we know about him and how far he got into what should be one of Canada's most protected spaces.
Police in droves. Rideau Hall's wrought iron gate smashed by a truck. Concerned residents stopped by to check on the commotion.
We started realizing that this ain't normal. Yeah. And a lot of police cars, a lot of Mounties.
Police say it was a soldier driving. A search of the vehicle revealed what appears to be boxes of military rations. CBC News has learned the man arrested by police today is Corey Hurren of Manitoba. A person who answered the phone at the Hurren household confirmed he was arrested, but said she didn't want to speak further. Online, he identifies himself as a business owner and a Royal Canadian Artillery veteran who recently rejoined the military as a Canadian Ranger. Police also say the man was armed. A source telling CBC News he had a long gun and brought a note with him. Though the Prime Minister and Governor General have residences nearby, officials say neither family was home overnight. But it is remarkable how close he got. According to the RCMP, the man breached the gate of Rideau Hall, the Governor General's official residence, at 6:30 this morning. Police say he then took off on foot, making his way all the way to the greenhouse. The Prime Minister's home at Rideau Cottage is just a few hundred meters away, something anyone can find out just by looking at Google Maps. Once he made his way to the greenhouse, police say he was rapidly contained by RCMP members who were on patrol in the area. While an RCMP member began dialogue with the suspect, the RCMP National Division Emergency Response Team was also dispatched. They arrived shortly after 7, though the man wasn't apprehended until about 8:30. Police say that the man was taken in for an interview and that charges are pending. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
In rural Quebec, a town is in shock and at least one family is grappling with a horrible loss. 3 young children were killed yesterday when they, along with others, were riding in the front-end loader of a tractor. It happened about 55 kilometers outside of Montreal in Notre-Dame-de-Stanbridge. Sarah Levitt tells the story from there.
Last night, a family gathering turned tragic. A man loaded the front bucket of his tractor with wood, and then 6 children and 4 adults also hopped on the bucket. Here, not far from the home, the markings on the road show where it all went very wrong. Provincial police say the group in the bucket fell and the tractor ran over them. Now 3 children, all under the age of 5, are dead and 3 others are seriously injured. The driver has been charged with criminal negligence causing death and criminal negligence causing bodily harm. I can't imagine how the family is dealing with this, says Karine Tétrault-Benoit. Like many here, she's in shock. The hamlet is home to fewer than 1,000 people, many of them farmers.
I could hear the sirens going down the road from my place.
Luc Perrault arrived at the scene soon after the paramedics.
Just saw the ambulances. It's nothing that you want to get close to. If it happens in front of you, you actually go because, we're humans and we help each other. But you couldn't go. There's nothing anybody wanted to see.
This former farmer, now trucker, says it's obvious that riding in a front-end loader just isn't safe. Daniel Tétrault, the mayor of Notre-Dame-de-Stanbridge, says he's making sure psychological help is available for those in the community. It's the first time something like this has happened here, he says, and it's not easy. The driver was released on bail. There's a publication ban on his identity and those of the victims. Among his conditions, he can't drive a car, but he can drive a tractor, as long as no one else is with him. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Notre-Dame-de-Stanbridge.
Some other stories we're following tonight, including a shocking car crash in Brampton, Ontario. So you can see there the moment the car skidded off the road, then crashed through a fence and flipped onto a residential street. The 28-year-old driver has been charged with dangerous driving, but he walked away with minor injuries and no one else was hurt.
What I can tell you today is that this is not the end of our story.
First Nations leaders in BC vowed to continue their fight against the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project after the Supreme Court today dismissed their appeal of Ottawa's approval of the project. And a Canadian man who was jailed in Egypt has been reunited with his family in Ontario. He spent nearly 500 days behind bars after a 2-month business trip to the country. Yasser Albaz was never formally charged. Global Affairs won't give out further information for privacy reasons, but his family thanked Ottawa for assisting in his release.
Well, it took a little over 2 months for the U.S. to record its first 50,000 coronavirus cases. Yesterday, it recorded 50,000 new cases in a single day. 50,700, in fact. The biggest single-day increase in that country since the pandemic began. The infection rate is climbing in 40 states, and as Paul Hunter tells us, the coming 4th of July weekend could create a perfect storm.
In the COVID intensive care unit at this hospital in Texas, urgency mixes with dread.
We are having an explosion of COVID. We aren't overrun yet, but it's overwhelming.
Texas is one of the states that had eased up on steps to combat the virus, but as its own governor today underlined,
in the past few weeks, there has been a swift and a substantial spike in COVID-19 cases. So we need to refocus on slowing the spread.
showing Texans the data to back that up. He's now ordering almost everyone in that state to wear a mask at all times when in public spaces. This as Florida today saw a record number of new COVID infections, 10,000.
The crisis is being handled.
Donald Trump today suggested it's all in good hands.
Some areas that were very hard hit are now doing very well. Some were doing very well, and we thought they may be gone, and they flare up, and we're putting out the fires.
That's just not an honest assessment of what's happening.
Rival Joe Biden is having none of it, slamming the president again for failing to properly take on the pandemic.
Lead. Get out of the way so others can, Mr. President.
Critics have in part pointed to Trump's effective refusal so far to wear a mask in public. They say signaling to millions it's not needed. But now a hint his view may be evolving, telling Fox News last night when he put one on, he liked what he saw.
And I thought it looked okay. It looked like the Lone Ranger.
Meanwhile, the country braces for big crowds and the 4th of July with the fear that in celebrating, Americans will now supercharge the spread. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
It's now mandatory for public transit riders in Toronto to wear a mask. Ellen Morrow looks at how that went on day one.
TTC workers stood ready to give away masks, but most here came prepared.
To protect yourself and everybody else around you.
A sentiment echoed by Toronto's mayor.
Thank you.
As face coverings became mandatory on Canada's largest transportation network. Only children under 2 are exempt and those with certain medical conditions.
It is in the hands of you out there to follow the law, yes, but really to do it because it's the right thing to do.
Please wear a mask or face covering arriving at TTC
But for those who don't, there won't be any fines. The city focusing on education, not enforcement. It's posted mask-making instructions online.
I'm hopeful that by the time we get a few days into this, we will see widespread compliance.
These men have been wearing masks on the TTC since April.
And I'm happy that we're actually taking it seriously and people are hopefully going to listen to it.
Masks are becoming ever more ubiquitous in the fight to avoid the dreaded second wave. Quebec will launch a similar face coverings on transit policy later this month.
I think we should probably get pretty comfortable putting masks on and adjusting our day-to-day activities.
But remember, there's a lot more to beating COVID-19.
Physical distancing, hand hygiene, and of course, if people are going into an indoor setting, you put on a mask.
Your extra mask bag?
My extra mask is in there, and my glove.
Geneva Barrett carries extra masks, and when she sees people on the TTC without them,
makes me angry, and I want to say, put the damn mask on.
So masks are mandatory now on the TTC, and starting next week, they'll also be required in indoor public spaces, including stores, except for those who are under 2 years old and people who have certain medical conditions. That rule will take effect starting Tuesday. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the Toronto Blue Jays will begin getting ready for their season in Toronto. Today, they finally got the okay to travel and train after a coronavirus outbreak shut down the team's facilities in Florida. Devin Haru has the details.
This year it took until summer for the boys of summer to fly back to town, but they're now cleared for takeoff by the federal government, allowed to bypass the mandatory 14-day quarantine. They'll be at the Rogers Center this weekend.
I mean, I'm excited. I live right beside it, so hopefully the dome's open. I can see in a little bit.
If the government is making the citizens suffering, why not them?
They should be made to quarantine.
Eventually, quarantine does get to you and you have to get out of your house.
I think it is going to be a positive for the city, for the Blue Jays, of course, but I think also for the people of the city.
The hotel attached to the facility will be the players' home for weeks. Strict measures include never stepping foot outside the venue.
It basically looks like a big home with a big backyard, and as long as the players don't leave the home or the backyard, there should be little to no threat to the general public.
He says the plans look good on paper, but it all depends on players actually staying in that bubble.
It's going to be pretty obvious if a professional baseball player is hanging out having a beer at a bar down the street. Like, the optics of that would be terrible.
There's a high fly ball.
They have 3 weeks to prepare for opening day, but they don't even know if this is where they'll play their regular season home games.
And he got him.
Something the government has yet to approve. Team President Mark Shapiro acknowledges the Jays and every visiting team would have to adhere to strict quarantine measures.
We will look to end up with a similar result where we protect the public in every way possible, but we have to deal with not just our team coming in and out of the country, but the visiting team as well.
A challenge for sure for Major League Baseball's only non-American team, playing in what many call the Dome, soon really acting as one. Devin Haru, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, Ontario still leads the country in new COVID-19 cases. Toronto is tracking the virus at the neighborhood level. And as Thomas Daigle explains, it shows the virus is spreading most in the places where people have the least.
Look up for a sign. It's becoming increasingly clear living in cramped quarters in lower income areas puts people at a higher risk for COVID-19. Toronto is the latest city to release socio-demographic data showing the rate of infection in the city's poorest neighborhoods is 3 times higher than its richest, and areas with overcrowded housing have been hit up to 4 times harder.
For a long time in Toronto and in other cities in Canada, there's been an undersupply of affordable housing, and we are now realizing an immediate harm from that.
And it's not just where people live, but where they work, with low-wage earners on the front lines knowing if they stay home, their families will go hungry. That's what they hear at this community health center.
It is part of what we see every day. We're certainly going to see it more during a pandemic.
The data indicates Black and South Asian people here have been hit especially hard. hence calls for greater community testing, like at this church in the Jane and Finch district, where activists have seen chronic poverty and racism worsen health outcomes for years.
There is absolutely, again, no surprise. I don't know how many, different investigations or research needs to happen.
Question is, what can be done? Some want more public health advice in languages other than English, but also a wider shift to a so-called living wage and affordable housing.
We know that when the inequities are smaller, when they're reduced, that actually the entire society benefits.
At a local level, the needs are not new, but a pandemic on a global scale has made the urgency even clearer. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
There is growing concern in southwestern Ontario over the decision by local health authorities to effectively shut down a farm amid a coronavirus outbreak.
Do you think that encourages other farmers to cooperate when all of a sudden, one of their friends get their farm shut down like that? My emphasis to the workers, nothing's going to happen. Ontario's here to help you.
Nature Fresh Farms had nearly 200 positive cases of COVID-19 over the weekend. All employees are being told to stop working and isolate until further notice. Nunavut has reported its first presumptive case of COVID-19. A worker at a remote mine northeast of Iqaluit tested positive after arriving from outside the territory. He's now in isolation and waiting for confirmation of the result, expected to arrive from an Ontario lab next week.
Feeling great. We're going to see traffic for the first time since mid-March or something like that.
Definitely a sense of anticipation in Atlantic communities, eager for the opening of a 4-province bubble. It'll mean people can move within that part of the country, though officials are reminding travelers that this doesn't mean free-flowing travel quite yet. The rules do vary slightly for each province, but all will require proof of Atlantic residency before entering.
The woman accused of helping recruit and groom underage girls to be sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein is now under arrest and facing 6 criminal charges in the U.S. Ghislaine Maxwell was a close associate of Epstein. The former financier, already a convicted sex offender, was found dead in his prison cell last summer, awaiting trial on more sex trafficking charges. Stephen D'Souza with why some say today's arrest could be followed by others.
For all the years convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was accused of preying on young girls, Ghislaine Maxwell was at his side. A lover, business manager, and was, according to prosecutors, a central figure in what he did.
Maxwell played a critical role in helping Epstein to identify, befriend, and groom minor victims for abuse.
Prosecutors allege Maxwell would take them to the movies or shopping. One girl was only 14 years old.
She befriended the innocent, attempted to normalize sexual abuse, and worked to put victims at ease, aware the entire time of the abuse that would follow.
Prosecutors say Maxwell even took part in the abuse. She was arrested at a sprawling estate in New Hampshire, where the FBI says she was in hiding.
If Epstein was the CEO of this sex ring, the Southern District is alleging that Maxwell is the chief operating officer.
While Epstein is dead, investigators have boxes of evidence seized from his properties. Legal experts say Maxwell is the key to unraveling Epstein's network of the wealthy and powerful, to figure out who else may have been involved in abusing minors.
I believe she's a piece in this puzzle, a very, very big piece in this puzzle, but there are a lot of other big fish I think that the Southern District of New York is going to be taking down.
Among the famous names linked to Epstein, prosecutors have been trying to interview Prince Andrew for months after a woman accused him of sexual assault.
We would welcome Prince Andrew coming in to talk with us.
In a statement today, one of Epstein's alleged victims said she and others are relieved and that the arrest brings some justice for survivors. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Should police officers be called to help someone in a mental health crisis?
I just think it's a whole different tone when the police enter, and it can really frighten people.
Up next, what it's like responding to a mental health call and how it could be different.
Plus, we're nearly 4 months into the pandemic, the country dealing with an economic crisis stacked on a public health one. At Issue checks in on how the government has handled it all.
Plus, booking a hair appointment soon? You're certainly not alone.
I've had a waiting list that is a mile long,
We'll show you what to expect from a trim in the time of COVID. We're back in 2. There are calls tonight to overhaul how mental health crises are handled in this country. In recent weeks, we've seen several police wellness checks end in violence, even death. And now some say health professionals should lead those cases, not police. Here's Vicadopia.
Living with bipolar disorder has led Bill Pringle to dark places. He's attempted suicide 8 times. Once police handcuffed him.
Essentially, they accused me of attention seeking and would not call an ambulance for me.
Other times, he got the help he needed. But recent police responses to mental distress calls have not always worked out that way, like the case of this BC woman dragged across the floor, and this incident near Toronto, which ended with a man dead.
Just about everywhere the police are coming into question, and mental health cases are amongst the most difficult to deal with at the best of times.
This mental health crisis team in Hamilton is often the first on the scene for those difficult cases. A therapist paired with a specially trained officer. Since starting 5 years ago, mental health apprehensions have dropped.
We can't expect officers to do a full psychiatric assessment, and that's really what part of my job is to do that assessment.
Integrated mental health units are not new. Most Canadian cities now have them, but they're not all available around the clock, and sometimes they're brought in too late, and it's often police who are still in charge. That's prompted calls for change.
I've taken knives away from people in the emergency room.
This veteran mental health nurse used to work in a team with Toronto Police. She says mental health workers can and should take on more responsibility during calls.
I just think it's a whole different tone when the police enter, and it can really frighten people. And I think if they're great to have them as backup, absolutely, but a more prominent role for the mental health expert.
That's what Sweden has done with its mental health ambulance, staffed by nurses and paramedics, a response to a suicide rate higher than Canada's. Half the time, police aren't even involved. This legal scholar has long called for a redesign of mental health crisis care, one that gives patients a voice.
They should be the designers of a comprehensive range of services and supports and involve others, mental health professionals, legal professionals, and police service providers at the end rather than at the beginning.
It's a tall order that demands the commitment of more than just police. Vicadopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, still ahead on the national, Canadians are rediscovering the staycation this summer.
Thanks for calling Cottages at Clear Lake. How can I help you?
We'll show you the tourism businesses that are getting back to work.
But first, before they went on their summer break, Rosie and the Ad Issue crew sat down to rate the government response to the global pandemic. Chantal, Andrew, and Althea next.
It's been an unprecedented moment in Canadian politics, managing a global pandemic.
Enough is enough. Go home and stay home.
And an economic crisis.
It is an economic impact, the likes of which hasn't been seen in over 70 years on Canadians from coast to coast to coast.
Almost 4 months in, and Ottawa has unveiled billions of dollars in aid, sent the military into long-term care homes in Ontario and Quebec, and kept the border with the U.S. closed. The federal government adapting to a new political reality as Canadians face their own new normal.
So how has Ottawa handled the crisis so far, and what are the political lessons all governments can learn? Time for a check-in with the Ad Issue panel. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. I understand it's hard at this stage still to do a look back, but I do want to try and assess how the government has responded to some really unprecedented times, and I think we would all agree it's kind of incredible that all of this has happened in such a short period of time. So let's start with how they responded responded to sort of the public health portion of this without you getting into health policy, but the realization from public health officials and then the government's execution of the fact that certain things had to happen. The border had to close. People were going to have to stop moving around. They were going to have to stay home and work from home. How would you evaluate, maybe I'll start with you, Andrew, how would you evaluate how the government responded to having to do that, having to force the population back into their homes, essentially?
I suppose you have to decide what your criterion is. I suppose if you compare it to other countries, for starters, not particularly well, middle of the pack, better than some, a lot worse than some others. Easy to say in hindsight, but when you look at it, they were warned repeatedly beforehand, as were the predecessor government, so there was a failure to plan adequately for it. When it did hit, there was at best mixed messaging and at worst complacency in terms of some of the messaging that was put out to the public in the first weeks of the issue, where they were told the risk level was low, when they were slow to bring in the controls on the borders, when they were slow to get their story straight on masks, et cetera. So in fairness, lots of other countries had made the same mistakes, had the same problems. They're not unique in that. No. But if you were looking, as I say, at some of the other countries' performance, Australia, New Zealand, Taiwan, they've done significantly better than we did.
Well, I guess one of the questions you could ask here, Chantal, is what kind of leeway do you give a government in making those decisions when it's something that is unprecedented, that no one has experienced?
And the fact is that governments do tend to fall back on previous experience. And when they looked for that book that tells you what you're supposed to do, it didn't exist. They're basically writing it as they go along. To give you a sense of the politics or the political mindset around this, remember that we went from a plane that had dozens, hundreds of Canadian passengers being downed by a missile, to railroad blockades, to this, over a very short period, in the life of a minority government that got re-elected last fall. Now, on the day that the World Health Organization finally declared the pandemic, the opposition, the official opposition, the conservative opposition, was busy pursuing SNC-Lavalin. So it's not as if the government was getting any pressure from the opposition parties who were saying, gee, guys, you're asleep at the switch. Beyond that, I don't know what you do when you are suddenly faced with the kinds of decisions that had to be taken. I would say overall that the only way to describe what the government did, which was by no means perfect or even great, was the best they thought they could.
Yeah, I mean, I think the government would even agree with that, Althea, that their response was not perfect, that they were, throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick.
Yeah, I would say there's kind of like two different phases to the initial response. I think that they were ill prepared, and by they, I don't just mean like the people around the prime minister. I mean, the bureaucracy was ill prepared. When you look at Dr. Tam's testimony in January at the Health Committee, I think it was, she basically tells questionnaires, including Liberal MPs, that there's no need to close the border and there's no need for quarantine, and that's not the way epidemics work, and like basically suggesting that they don't know what they're talking about. And I do think that the government thought that it was overreacting, which when it, urged for Parliament to shut down, and with the World Health Organization came and said this was a global pandemic, whereas in fact, the WHO was several weeks late in declaring that there was a pandemic. And so I think officials along the way, the information by which they were making decisions was faulty. Now, when they started responding to the crisis in terms of calming the population, encouraging people to stay home, to social distance, working with the opposition parties to come up with fiscal plans to give people direct supports to stay home, I actually think that part was a lot better. Prime Minister is a decent communicator outside of his home, still nearly daily. That was very good.
I will say, when I talked to Dr. Tam about that issue of closing the border, the answer was so interesting to me. And the answer was that no one contemplated that was even ever an option. And so that certainly shows that we were dealing with unprecedented times. Let's just turn to the economic response, if we can, just because that too has been unprecedented. And you know, it's hard to know how we're now going to get out of these things and scale them back. But Andrew, in terms of what they did to support businesses, the economy, Canadians, what do you make of that?
I just want to say very quickly, it wasn't entirely unprecedented. We did have the SARS dry run, and we were warned that we're going to be further pandemics to come. I think they did the best they could there. They had to, everyone I think should cut them some slack on that. They had to come up with programs on the fly on a massive scale, having shut down the economy. That certainly is unprecedented in living memory, certainly. The notion that so to get the money out the door to individuals and to businesses, there were design flaws, as we saw with the CERB in terms of the work incentives, in terms of the openness to fraud. And we've seen that the wage subsidy program has really not been taken up in the way that the government might have liked. Business says because they were so slow rolling it out. Those, I think, are more in the nature of the kind of errors or omissions that are going to be forgivable and understandable in the context they were in, where they had to design this and implement it on the fly.
Chantal?
I think one of the reasons that the phasing out looks so difficult is it's not clear how much political and civil service energy you should put on phasing out when you don't know what the fall will be like.
Yeah, true.
And yes, I don't think that we can go for another entire shutdown in the way that we have seen. I don't think we can sustain it in any way, shape, or form. But that doesn't mean that life is going back to normal anytime soon. So that kind of makes it difficult to go through the process of shutting down programs when you don't really know whether it's too early. And every decision at this point is based on whether it's too early.
Okay, last word on this to you, Althea.
I think there are still going to be questions that are going to be asked and that deserve to be asked. And Finance Minister Bill Morneau has yet to provide a good answer as to why the government's first response was not to send blanket CRB checks to everybody and to claw them back on income tax, something that you heard being called for on the left and on the right side of the political spectrum. And while they did try to, as they argued, help the most people with the most money, there are still people that have fallen through the cracks. There are people that were unable to get financial help when they needed it, who will have lost their jobs and lost their businesses. And I don't think that we have an adequate picture of the damage yet that has happened over the last few months.
Okay, we're going to take a little break if we can. Adish will be back for another round after the break, and this time we're going to try and look even a little further ahead than we did there.
We recognize that if there is a second wave, if Canadians fall on hard times because of COVID-19 in the coming months, we will need to do more.
So what more could that be? The political and economic challenges still to come? That's next on The National.
If this pandemic has been an unprecedented challenge for our country, it has also been an important opportunity to figure out what really matters in our communities, to have meaningful conversations about how we can take care of those around us, and perhaps, above all, to think about what kind of future we want to build together.
Prime Minister has continued to face questions about what the upcoming months will look like, but how does the federal government plan for such an uncertain time? What are some of the big political challenges that lie ahead? Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj join me now for another round here. So obviously, as we said earlier, we don't know if there's going to be a second wave. We don't know what kind of response that's going to require. But what do you think is the biggest challenge that has emerged from this? Because certainly, we know that there are some big ones. They've revealed weaknesses and broken down systems and things that are going to have to be fixed, even after this is all over. Chantal, why don't you start?
Take healthcare and long-term care being identified as a major flaw. You can already see a tug of war coming between the federal government and the provinces over how you improve the system and what role the federal government should have in setting standards. That's going to be a money talk. And a money talk at a time when no government, especially not in the province, has a lot of money to spare. So expect those discussions about who's paying for what and fiscal federalism to heat up. Next question, This government was elected by making serious promises, you could say again, on climate change and meeting those targets. Do voters still feel that is a priority? Will the government still feel that it should be a priority? Or will we go back to the 2008 scenario, or after, in tough economic times, the environment falls by the wayside? There are a host of questions and consequences on the government agenda that go beyond balancing the books and getting us back to some fiscal situation that is better than the one we are in today.
For sure. Althea, same question to you.
I think long-term care is absolutely going to be an issue that the federal and provincial governments are going to be squabbling over. And to Chantal's point, the money talks bit. The other one, paid sick leave. You know, a lot of workers in this country, more than half of employees, according to Statistics Canada, don't have paid sick leave. More people actually have paid vacations than they have paid sick leave. And that is also a discussion that actually many provinces don't want to have. So is that something that Justin Trudeau is going to be able to force on the agenda? Actually, on the climate thing, the government is so squarely on the left side of the political spectrum and trying to eat the NDP's lunch that I think it almost now has the political will to do things that perhaps it didn't at the beginning of this mandate. Pharmacare, a tougher stance on the environment, moving in areas of provincial jurisdiction where it feels like the public is behind them, even if the provinces may not be.
Andrew, same to you. What do you think is the biggest challenge to come out of all of this? I know there are many, but one or two.
Well, I agree. There's a number of challenges that have been already talked about beyond public finances. But if we don't have a sound system of public finances, and beyond that, a functioning economy, a functioning currency, then we're not going to be able to do any of them. And we are in dire straits now fiscally. We were already in trouble before this because of the aging of the population, particularly the implications for the provinces. But we're looking at a deficit of $300 billion or so this year, probably $100 billion a year or two after that. This has extraordinary implications for our future as a country, and particularly since so much of that has basically been bought by the Bank of Canada. So there has to, at some point, to be rolled out a plan that where businesses and investors and everybody else can look at that and say, okay, there's a plan now to get back to something approaching fiscal sanity. There's a plan to start to draw back some of those Bank of Canada purchases so we don't get an inflationary blow-off out of these. And if that sounds dry or a green eye shade type of talk, if we don't do that, we won't be able to afford any of the other stuff to do with healthcare or climate change or anything else.
We like dry sometimes from you, Andrew. That's good. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all very much for that. Appreciate it. Before we go, make sure you subscribe to At Issue, the podcast, in case you like to hear us more than look at us. Look for any major podcast app and our website, cbcnews.ca/The National. For now, though, let's throw it back to Toronto.
All right, still ahead on The National. Canada's smallest province is celebrating a big impact on the environment.
We very rarely see a plastic carry-out bag anymore, unless it's something that maybe somebody had kicking around the house for a while.
A year into PEI's plastic bag ban, the incredible number of bags saved from the trash. Stick around. So your hair is too long, you need professional help, and now with more hair salons reopening across the country, you are wondering, what should you expect when you arrive?
So what's different is that you have to wait outside for your appointment. Somebody will come and greet you. As you come through the doors, there will be a sanitizer where you can sanitize your hands.
And considering how physical distancing is basically impossible, expect masks to be mandatory. At the wash station, some salons may go as far as having a no talking rule, and scalp massages may be a thing of the past, all to keep your visit as short as possible. When you are in the big chair, your cape should be disposable or washed after every single use. Dividers may become more common, especially if they can't keep 6 feet between stations. And consider talking exclusively via the mirror instead of turning face to face. Also,
in general, blow dryer is allowed. Okay, there's a few restrictions depending on where you are. They may have decided that if you don't have enough space between 2 stations to limit the blow drying or not do any blow drying.
And here's one more thing to consider. Prices might be higher. There may even be a new COVID surcharge. You see, because of physical distancing, salons have to take many fewer clients than they're used to. They also have to sanitize a lot more, basically everywhere you go. So, A little patience and understanding will certainly go a long way, especially if you're having a hard time booking an appointment in the first place.
Just be patient with us. I've had a waiting list that is a mile long, so just be patient and we'll be able to fit you in.
Now to some good news for some Manitoba small business owners who could really use some. Despite an exceptionally slow spring, cottage resort owners are seeing a booking boom. Karen Pauls takes us to a town keen to welcome those summer vacationers.
Thanks for calling Cottages at Clear Lake. How can I help you?
The last few months, Reg Kaler's phone has been ringing with people canceling their reservations. He owns 50 cottages and a hotel in Riding Mountain National Park.
Everybody is calling back for their deposits to be returned.
The phone is still ringing, but now it's people looking to rent cottages.
Hi, Valerie.
In fact, Kaler has had to hire more staff to get the cottages ready for the Canada Day rush. The turnaround came on June 21st, when Manitoba went into its Phase 3 reopening. It eliminated the 14-day isolation period for anyone coming from the 3 provinces to the west and part of northwestern Ontario.
It was just a blessing beyond belief, because we were getting pretty panicky.
Resort communities like this one now have some hope that they will be able to salvage this all too short tourism season, but it's a little more hit and miss for northern outfitters, especially fly-in ones that rely on American tourists.
We've had to close our season.
Jerry Dunlop runs a fly-in fishing lodge between Thompson and Churchill. Most of his clients come from the U.S., and the border is still closed for non-essential travel until at least July 21st.
About 10% of our clientele are Manitobans or Canadians, but for at a remote location like we are, 10% still doesn't cover the cost just to open up.
Paul Wiens is a little luckier. His lodge is a 7-hour drive north of Winnipeg. Reservations are starting to pick up.
We know that the season is not going to be what it should be, but every little bit helps.
Back in Wasagaming, the beach and patios are filling up. Some of the locals, like Ella Wynn, admit they have concerns about COVID-19.
This is a place for people to come and relax, but it doesn't mean that we forget about social distancing.
Still, she welcomes the tourists. Like these first-time visitors, Michelle Toll and her family booked a cottage here at the last minute.
Usually we do spend our weekends in the summertime in the States for ball tournaments, so we actually don't get to stay and stick around Manitoba quite a bit.
Embracing their summer staycation, they're already planning a trip back here in August. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Wasagaming, Manitoba.
Well, next on the National Hour, moment, one that deserves a pat on the back.
I congratulate everyone for making it happen a year ago.
PEI was the first province to ban plastic bags last Canada Day. A year later, and the amount of garbage diverted is pretty amazing. We're back in a moment with that.
For those grappling with environmental policy, a plastic bag ban seems a bit like a no-brainer. Canadians use up to 15 billion of those bags every year. Theoretically recyclable, in practice, they often end up as landfill and litter. Well, exactly a year ago, Canada's smallest province was the first to take the big step of banning them outright. The results are in, and they are tonight's moment.
Hard to believe a year went by, that quick. Residents of PEI, took to it very well.
The man in charge of PEI's waste management says a year on, more than 80 tons of annual plastic waste have vanished.
There was 15 to 16 million carry-out bags utilized in the province. They're totally eliminated.
People shifted quickly to reusable bags on shopping trips, even when they had the option of paper.
We were anticipating a pretty good spike in the amount of paper bags that we would receive in the recycling stream, but we really didn't see that.
I see you brought your bags today?
And according to the Retail Council of Canada, business barely skipped a beat.
For the most part, it's been seamless. Most of our members have moved on from it long ago.
At a time when things seem broken, sometimes a simple policy implemented well just works. And incredibly, it works even in COVID. I mean, there was a bit of a fear that people wouldn't want reusable bags during COVID, but it was okay. They didn't charge any more for the paper, and it was fine.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just the beginning too, right? Interestingly, yesterday was when a whole bunch of similar bag bans went into effect municipally across the country from west to east, in Newfoundland province-wide as well, and Nova Scotia, I think, is coming up in October, Vancouver coming up in January, so the snowball begins.
Get used to it.
Yeah, that's the National for this Thursday, July 2nd. Have a good night.
Good night.